Welcome back to season 2 of Truth and Freedom podcast, where awakening begins with asking the question most people are afraid to ask. I'm your host, Dr. Dan Amzallag, and this is not just another podcast. This is a journey into awareness, courage, and truth. Now, in today's segment, we will discuss the topic of mindfulness versus manipulations, spotting spiritual gaslighting. Now, we live in an age where spirituality has become a double-edged sword. On one side, it offers profound freedom, clarity, and connection. On the other, it has been weaponized, twisted into a tool for control, manipulation, and subtle coercion. Now, this spiritual is gaslighting, when language meant to liberate instead traps you in confusion, self-doubt, or guilt. It doesn't always announce itself with loud accusation or threats. Often, it hides behind softness, calm voices, and phrases like, trust the universe, or something like, you're resisting your higher self. And if you're not vigilant, what should feel freeing can feel suffocating. Spiritual gaslighting is powerful because it mirrors true mindfulness. It borrows the language of awareness, presence, and surrender, but it uses it to undermine your autonomy. You might hear things like, hey, you're too attached, or you need to let go of your ego, or something like, if you were really enlightened, you wouldn't feel this way. Now, at first, it sounds profound. It sounds loving, but the intent is subtle control to make you question your reality, your emotions, your intuition. And when you question yourself constantly, you stop trusting the very guidance that could lead you to freedom. Now, one of the most common tactics is reframing your valid emotions as resistance. Fear becomes negative energy. Anger becomes attachment. And disappointment becomes lack of vibration. The message is clear. Your natural human reactions are wrong. And if you want to be truly spiritual, you must dissolve yourself into a will of someone else's teaching. And if you comply, you feel obedient but empty. If you resist, you feel guilty, anxious, and spiritually flawed. This is manipulation disguised as enlightenment. Now, another form of spiritual gaslighting is guilt disguised as wisdom. If you loved yourself, you wouldn't feel this. Or something like, if you were awake, you wouldn't need therapy. If you surrounded fully, this wouldn't be happening. The underlying message is always the same. You are not enough, and your reality is flawed unless you align with my version of truth. And because these words come cloaked in compassion, they can bypass the logical mind and launch straight into the subconscious, shaping how you see yourself for years. Now, the first step is breaking free is awareness. Seeing the difference between authentic guidance and manipulative guidance. True mindfulness never shames you for feeling. True spiritual insight empowers you to act, but never forces obedience through fear or guilt. True enlightenment never tells you to abandon your intuition, your body, or your boundaries. If someone leaves you feeling small, confused, or dependent, you're not being led to higher consciousness, you're being controlled. And this is not to say that every discomfort in spiritual practice is manipulation. Growth is uncomfortable. Awareness brings tension because it forces you to confront yourself. But growth challenges you internally. Manipulation challenges you externally. Growth will say, look at yourself. Manipulation will say, change yourself to please me. Growth will align with your truth. Manipulation aligns with someone else's agenda. And learning to distinguish the two is the gateway to freedom. Now, spiritual gaslighting is particularly dangerous because it targets our natural desire for connection and meaning. We crave understanding, transcendence, and liberation. We want to belong to something greater than ourselves. But when someone hijacks that craving, they can bend your mind without even raising their voice. They create dependency by convincing you that only they hold the key to awakening. And once you depend on them for spiritual validation, your freedom is completely gone. So how do you reclaim your autonomy? Well, you can start with boundaries. Pay attention to how you feel after listening or practicing with someone. Do you feel uplifted, expanded, and empowered? Or, on the other hand, do you feel diminished, confused, and anxious? Your body always knows the truth before your mind does. Listen to it, trust it. Next, bring discernment to language. Words like detachment, surrender, or ego are tools, not verdicts. They describe processes, not punishment. You decide what they mean in your life, not anyone else's. Now, another key practice is to anchor your spirituality in experience rather than instruction. Meditation, reflection, journaling, nature, and presence are tools to explore your own mind, not framework that submit to someone else's authority. The moment you outsource your inner compass to another person, even under the guise of enlightenment, you step into manipulation. Freedom begins when you reclaim that compass. Now, finally, cultivate self-compassion. Gaslighting thrives on self-doubt. So when you begin to treat your own mind and emotion with care, the subtle attacks loses power. You no longer need external validation to feel okay. You no longer accept guilt as a spiritual test. You recognize that being human, feeling, questioning, struggling, is not resistance. It is life. It is growth. And it is sacred. Now, the more aware you become, the less you will tolerate spiritual manipulation. You will naturally gravitate towards teachers, friends, and communities that respect your autonomy, celebrate your humanity, and encourage you to be fully present in your own experience. Awareness acts like a light in the dark. It exposes the shadows where control hides. And once you see clearly, you'll never again confuse someone else's agenda with your own awakening. Now, the ultimate lesson of this epidemic is simple. Freedom and spirituality are inseparable. You cannot be truly awake if you're being led by someone else's fear, agenda, or ego. And the paradox is beautiful. The more fully you own your experience, the deeper your spiritual connection becomes. True mindfulness doesn't demand obedience. It invites presence. True awakening doesn't shrink you. It expands you. And when you step into that clarity, manipulation loses its grip entirely. So as you move through the world, through teachers, teaching, practices, and philosophies, hold this truth close. Your inner experience is sacred. Your mind, your body, your emotions, and your intuition are non-negotiable. No one, no teaching, no system has the right to redefine your reality. When you remember this, you are free. You are awake. You are sovereign. And that is the true essence of mindfulness. Now, we hope that you've all enjoyed this insightful episode as much as we did. So stay tuned for our next one as we explore freedom from fear, the biology of bravery. Until then, my friends, stay awake, stay grounded, and stay free.